Action Comics 1071 and 1072 with Mark Waid writing and Clayton Henry on the art.
Okay, so I read 1071 because I got it physically last week. So I'm going to go off of you since you read it fresher, and I'll just add in when I need to, because I didn't have time to revisit it this week. So
very
yes,
good.
I'll just go off.
All right. So basically, there's a lot of talk here about how the Phantom Zone was like this, was what it sounded like, right? Everyone was sort of incorporeal.
Corporeal. There you go.
Incorporeal. Yes.
Corporeal.
Corporeal. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, the point is that that's how it used to be, but some time ago, someone came and changed all that, right? And it sort of teases that. Superman lands here, and there's like people with cannons ready. Superman fights them off, and it establishes a few things. Superman's got bracelets on, which have got some solar energy in them. That, funny enough, Wade bringing in Bruce Gordon that he's been talking about in World's Finest. He helped him make these bracelets.
The world's foremost expert in solar energy.
Yeah, so he's got some solar batteries on his wrists, but it's not an infinite amount of power. He will run out. So there's even some lines in here about how he's try to conserve by using the freeze breath more because it uses less power, which I guess they've done some testing on that at some point.
I mean, it does make sense because he's just generating breath out, right? He's pushing it out versus heat vision, which you're gonna have to take energy to create. So yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, but like, I don't know, just it's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does a bit of a recap of the Phantom Zone. This is where, Zod and Ursula have been sent. You've also got Mon-El because he was sick and he had to come in here. You get Jack Sewer and, all the greatest hits. And then apparently movie producer John Peters was involved in writing this issue because there's a giant spider monster.
Thanagarian Snare Beast.
Thanagarian Snare Beast, yes. Deadliest creature in the animal kingdom. Did you know that,
That's
Matt?
great. Yes.
So that's going on. Also, there's a subplot with Keenan and
Connor,
thank you. I forgot his name there. Playing baseball, and that just they're just bickering and arguing.
It's one-on-one baseball, which doesn't make sense, but they're doing it. So
they got super speed, so they technically can.
Yeah, it's for charity. So they're bickering each other, but trying to remind each other, hey, this is for a good cause. So yeah,
they've got Magnus robots as the umpire because no human being can perceive where the ball's going.
There's that, and that's the joke in sports is we're getting so fine line in these replays that we're just gonna have to have robots as the officials. So here in a world with robots, they actually do have the officials, and they're still missing calls. I think that's still pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean the big ending to it is that Connor hits what seems to be a home run, but Keenan just flies up and catches it, and it's like, wait. Like, what's the rules here? Because, like, technically it's in bounds, but then they start arguing about, well, what about the vertical bounds? Is there a vertical bounds to baseball? Well, they never considered that because people can't fly. Anyway, they realize something's got at the fortress, and they're shocked to find something, and that's the last we see in this issue. It is weird talking about this because I read them both back to back, so the two are kind of blurring together. But Superman's fighting some spiders. It's all going on. Ultimately, though, the ship that's flying through the Phantom Zone, the Valcon, is flying through, and the Phantom King is in charge of it. But the reveal at the end of this issue, when the Phantom King takes the mask off, is that it's Mon-El who's taken over this role.
Gasp.
I actually sound like a genuine gasp, Matt. I thought you'd forgotten the reveal.
No, that's acting.
So that's the cliffhanger. It was a good cliffhanger for this that kind of left us off and thinking exactly, is Mon-El turned villainous, or is he still an ally? We didn't really know at the end of this issue. Obviously,
is he upset because he's been locked there for so long? He did nothing wrong but exist. I do like that they're playing with that.
But obviously, I've already read the next issue, and I know that's he is still an ally. But that's something we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah. So I don't remember because the name Zadu. I was like, where did that come from? And apparently Zadu showed up in Bendis's Superman run when he was fighting Onamar Sin. So not Onamar Sin, the Sin.
Rogolzar?
No, not Rogolzar. There was that creature that got super powered and came to Earth. It was one of the last things Bendis worked on. The Sinmar Utopica. There we go. Um, it really made an imprint on Pete here.
Yes, I remember those words.
Yes. And so I was like, is that where I remember Zatu? And I guess, but it wasn't ringing a bell because I did some searching. I'm like, why does this seem familiar? So yeah. Good look though. Even with Monel taking it off, he's got this evil mummy kind of vibe or Invisible Man.
Yeah, I mean, even just before that, I was liking the idea that there's like something of a civilization's kind of built up in the Phantom Zone since something has given them corporeal form. And they've started to have physicality and they can actually build like shelter and stuff. Like that is kind of interesting that it wasn't always that way and it's kind of developed, and Superman's kind of horrified to see that they've all been living in here like this. Also, at one point Superman gets blinded just briefly, and he basically does like a trick where he does like the Hulk clap, and he basically listens for the reverberations to sort of like imitate sonar. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes when writers come up with new little things for Superman to do, I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, he doesn't need another power. This one actually makes sense to me, that his super hearing is good enough to actually hear the bounces and kind of like, I don't know, like, he should never be as good at it as, say, Daredevil, but...
He should be able to get by with it, though. Right?
In a pinch. I didn't hate it as an idea.
Yeah.
In a pinch.
And it makes sense because he's trying to conserve his energy, right? So him doing that and then just listening for where things are, where the sound waves are bouncing, I think that works.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we'll do. I'll mention the first backup here just because it's awkward to jump between the books, honestly, digitally. So so Supergirl's got a mission. We find out in this particular backup that she's got out to a Thanagarian like satellite or like a little base in space, right? And it's basically to pick up a prisoner and transport the prisoner. She thinks for trial, but the robot that's there makes it clear that, oh no, he's already been tried and convicted. You're just to transport him to the, like, where he's going. And there's a whole bunch of secrecy, like who is the prisoner? What did they do? We don't know that yet. Kara does not know that. Even the location of the prisoner doesn't even get handed off to her before the intruder alarm goes off. And villains show up to like mess with the party. Yeah,
a giant spider lady, which again, going off the spider theme from...
Yeah, it's weird there's another spider thing here, yeah. This is a much more horror movie looking spider lady, though. This is more horrific and not as big, right? She's not giant. She's big, but she's not giant.
I mean, big enough for me to be terrified. So yes.
She's big enough that, I mean, she's probably like maybe 10 foot tall in total, as opposed to kaiju size, which is what the one Clark was fighting was.
Yeah.
But she's got like a human top half, though. That's the thing as well, right? So very different.
It's like a spider centaur.
Yeah. And she's got like, you know, the 8 eyes on her face. It's all very creepy and like just nice for October, I guess. So Supergirl tries to fight her a bit, although she does point out that she's so far away from the sun that like her powers are not at full strength and things are a little bit iffy out here. But this robot that was giving her the information is snatched by the spider lady, who runs off with her, and that's basically the cliffhanger here in this part of the backup. We'll talk about this more, I think, when we get to the next part of the backup, but the art is still very good. I really like how the artist is drawing stuff here.
Skylar Patridge.
Yeah, Skylar Patridge, who I wasn't that familiar with, but I actually think the art style goes really well with Tamaki's writing. Very cool. So just, we're still sticking with action here. We're going to the next issue, 1072. Where Mon-El sort of adds more to the backstory about how this place used to be a phantom zone, literally, and it became more corporeal. There's a little bit of backstory here about how Superman, when he was Superboy, was actually spent time with Mon-El, and they actually thought they were brothers, because Mon-El had amnesia, and because he was an explorer who was looking for Kryptonian stuff and looking for, like, they were so similar, and there was enough things between them. I like this because the reason why he's named Mon-El is often a point of contention when they're not actually related. In fact, he's not even from the same goddamn planet. Why does he have the same family name as Clark? And this is kind of the explanation for it that I like.
Well, this was always the explanation of that, right? Of the he's from planet Daxam, right? He's a Daxamite.
Yes.
But because they thought they were related, he gave him that, and because Clark found him on Monday, he just gave him the name Mon to go.
That part's a little bit silly. That's a little bit of that. Oh, you're here by yourself. We'll call you Han Solo. That's a little bit of that energy.
Of course, but and we know how Wade feels about the Golden Age, Silver Age type things.
He does. He likes the Superboy thing. I don't like Clark putting on the outfit till he's Superman. I did appreciate here though. He does at least say that his mum only let him wear the outfit that was made for him when he was older, as long as no one saw him. So he does go out of his way here to say that no public, no one saw him in public in the outfit.
And that also paves the way for the Legion stuff as well, right? Because he can go to the future and be Superboy, because no one that they know will see it. So that also fits in pretty well.
Yeah. So anyway, so they sort of recap this, and I've not read that Silver Age stuff, so I appreciated the jaunt down the memory lane. But yeah, basically, like Mon-El could see the monstrosity that attacked Clark in the real world, and talks about how there's someone else here now that's sort of like, the Phantom King was working on the behalf of someone else. They've got him locked up in the brig, and he's yelling, "I'll be free, you rebel insect!" Basically, Mon-El's been mounting a resurgence and has sort of converted enough of the criminals over to his side to try and take back the Phantom Zone.
Just by compassion and not treating them like criminals, right? Kind of what Clark was talking about in the first part, about the Phantom Zone. Maybe it doesn't need to exist anymore. So I do like that consistency throughout.
Yeah, and then we go back to our subplot with Keenan and Connor. I want to say Keenan and Kel. They're so bad. It's so easy to do.
Kal-El. That's his family name.
Keenan and Kal-El. Oh, that's good, actually. So, yeah, they're in the fortress, and this is actually one of the weird things where I did have to rely on the dialogue to tell me what I was looking at, because, well, it makes sense when they say it. They say that the place has been robbed because there's nothing there. I just assumed the part they were in was like not the part that had all the stuff in it.
Was the barren part, right?
Yeah. Because sometimes the fortress just looks like this. It's fine, but they're like, no, the place has been robbed. All that tech that was being stored there's gone, and then they get basically pulled through like a pocket dimension or something akin to that. And it's where all the items have went, because when they get there, here's all the stuff. This is everything. But it's also like an auction house. Like there's Daxamite, not Daxamite, sorry. There's what do you call them?
Dominators.
Dominators. Thank you. You knew it was the one beginning with D that I was looking for.
I did.
There's Dominators and other aliens looking around as if they're like either at a museum or getting ready to buy items.
Yeah.
So someone stole all this stuff with a pocket dimension or something.
Yeah. Because Crypto's doghouse is there. Helix is there. It looks like there's some Thanagarians that are there to buy stuff. It also looks like Jarell and Laura's costumes, right?
Also Superman's baby ship is in the background. The whole shebang.
Yeah. So very, very curious of what's going on here.
Yeah. It's kind of like it almost helped that I read 2 issues back to back, because it made me feel like I got a significant chunk of this subplot, because it is just the one big scene in each issue so far. Back in the Phantom Zone, Superman's helping fight off various monsters because they are journeying to where this main bad guy is. This
the
Ether. The Ether, yes, that's his name. So they're on their way to him. Superman's getting worried that maybe he's using too much of his power to fight these random attacks off. But this is where Mon-El explains more of the backstory and how this Aether came here. And at first, felt pity for all the criminals because, this is awful. They're all trapped here in this eternal kind of ghost-like form. So he's the one that actually made it, physical. He's like, I'm going to give this place physical shape. However, he was horrified when the criminals started killing each other because they're criminals. And went, oh no, this is terrible. I hate you all now. I'm going to treat you all like slaves. So this is partly why Mon-El was able to get an uprising going, is because they were being treated like slaves, being forced to build things that didn't even have a purpose. Like the Ether would just destroy them after they'd built them.
Yes, just giving them stuff to do just because. Yeah.
So, and there's one part here I really like, actually, where, Mon-El's explaining how awful this was and whatnot, and Mon-El basically admits that, to pull this off and to take control of the ship, some bad things needed to happen.
Yeah.
I had to make some really tough choices to save the crew, and Superman's face just kind of drops, and he's like, you wouldn't understand, you're Superman and I'm not. So it's basically saying Mon-El has had to murder people in here as part of this war to keep control.
He's had to break a few eggs to make that omelet.
So yeah, it's just it never comes across as that he's went off the deep end and has become a villain. It just becomes across as no, he's been in a tough situation where he's had to do this, and Superman's like going, "Oh God, you've been in a living night. You've been in like the Vietnam War in here, and I've not been."
Feels like he's gonna have major survivor guilt, right, for the stuff that he's had to do to survive. So
yeah, it's the whole thing. But as they're getting close to the location, they turn into like a phantom version of themselves, right? They become incorporeal. I can't say it properly. God damn it.
Corporeal.
I can say corporeal. I just can't say incorporeal without really thinking about it. And then they realize that means that the bad guy, the Phantom King, Zadu, who was the Phantom King, he could have got out of his cell because he's a ghost for a minute. So he's sorted out of his cell. It turns out he's actually went back crawling to his master, the Aether, who takes off his hood and reveals his true monstrous form. The big reveal here being that you're going to have to destroy the Earth to basically deal a blow to Superman, and he says, "Don't worry, Zadu, I already am." I guess the only question I have, I don't think it is, but is this reveal of this face like someone I'm supposed to recognize? I don't think
so.
Yeah, no. It's a cool alien design. It looks pretty monstrous.
Yeah, it's almost like a bat, but with Doomsday's teeth.
Sure, yeah.
So very, very free. Apparently, Aether showed up in World's Finest. I kind of remember during that Phantom Zone stuff, but not like this. I definitely think it was the hooded figure.
Yeah, I'm sure that was something he was intentionally teasing because he knew he was going to do a story, but I don't remember that.
So, but yeah, I don't remember him exactly like this. But yeah, that was a hell of a reveal.
Yeah, no, honestly, this is a really good story so far. I'm enjoying this, much like I really enjoyed the pacing of the Tower when Detective Comics did the 12-issue thing. Yeah. I think this is also moving at a really nice pace. I'm enjoying the way he's brought Mon-El back into the story. I'm loving the sort of re-establishing the lore of the Phantom Zone and saying, okay, it was this phantomy place where there was no physical sense, but it became because that's always something they've went back and forth on, like, are you just like a ghost in like a void in the Phantom Zone, or is there like a map? Can you walk around? Is there like not an economy, but like a hierarchy that forms of the villains that are in there, that kind of thing? This is saying, oh, it's been both. It started off as that, it became this thing, and we're giving it some like reasoning for it, and sort of building up a bit of lore that I'm kind of into. I'm enjoying what Mark Waid's doing with this stuff. Yeah,
me too.
All right, and then the backup in this week's issue. Continuing the Supergirl stuff here, she's like for some reason like there's what I can only describe as the eye of HAL 9000 is floating in space during those opening panels, but she's flying with not the like this is more of like just like a droid robot she's with right now.
Yeah, who's not the judge,
who isn't being very helpful with its information. It's worth mentioning, but she tries to get out of it what she can, but she's ultimately. We see back to like a little bit of when the trial was passed and whatnot, but ultimately Kara finds where the kidnapped judge will be because she doesn't even know where this prisoner is to go and find. And we get like this webbed lair where this spider lady clearly resides, and the judge is all like tied up or webbed up, maybe a better way of doing it. But ultimately, there's a whole host of these spider ladies here, and Kara, is trying to fend them off. Not doing a really good, doing an okay job of it, I suppose. But ultimately, it's a bit whatever. But the judge actually pulls out like the key or the map to where the prisoner is from inside her own chest. So it's a whole sort of sacrificial moment of her reaching in, giving her this like star chart or coordinates to where the prisoner is. And saying, hey, you've got to go and finish this mission, and basically, wishes that that she didn't have the information anymore. So Kara actually does that eye thing again that she did back in the first part of the story, where she erases her memory, kind of per her request almost. But that's the cliffhanger. She's got the location of the prisoner here at the end of the story. So. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Again, art's really solid. A chunk of the middle of this is her fighting the spider ladies, and we've got her using her freeze breath and whatever else. But I mean, I am intrigued. Like, I do want to know, who is this prisoner? What did they do? Why are they so important? These are interesting questions that we're building up to.
Enough that the spider people wanted to get them too, to get the judge, right? So then we find out that the thing that looks like the eye of HAL 9000 is like this red circle that's on the judge's forehead, right? So when she dies, it kind of dims out. Yeah. So that was a nice little touch on the art.
Yeah, do you know there's an implication there? Now, it could just be a sequential thing of this, the one light that's on and then goes off, or do you think there's an implication here that there's two more of like people like her, or two more robots, like, just because of the way there's three lights there in that last little red.
Let me look on that one.
It could just be a sequential
I think it's sequential because it gets a little bit dimmer as it goes, and I just think it's Patridge having fun with some art.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just was questioning, is there like maybe a trinity of like robot people or something that it's hinting at or something? I don't know. But yeah, that was solid backup again. Like, I'm really digging again the pacing of it. Getting a chapter of it each week, or 2 this week in my case, was a good time. Tamaki's voice for Supergirl I really like. There's a nice quality to it. It's been there ever since being Super, to be honest, but it's still fantastic. So really cool that she's getting to do this, because I suspect that when these are collected, you'll get like the whole, or maybe in 2 halves even, of like the main story with WAID. But I can see this Supergirl just having its own trade, because it'll be 12 half issues, so it'll be about the size of a 6-issue trade. So that's cool. All right. I don't know how we're rating these, I guess, but I just rate this week's, basically.
Just this week's?
Yeah,
okay.
Just rate this week's.
So this week, with all the stuff with Mon-El and Zadu and all of that stuff, I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
That's a bit lower than I thought you were going to go, to be honest.
Well, I was gonna go 8, but then I'm like, am I factoring in talking about both of them back to back? You know what I mean? Like, so I went a little bit lower.
I would say I like this week's issue more than last week's issue. I mean, it is a bit weird to separate them, because I did read them back to back.
Retroactively, I'll pump it up to 8 then, because I got, it was the factoring both of them together.
Stand your ground, Matt.
No, rating. I still maintain rating is dumb. So You're
so malleable. Can mold you into anything. You're like a putty monster for the Power Rangers.
Does that mean I get to hang out with Kimberly? Because if it's true, then yes.
No, you get kicked in the face by Kimberly. You get to hang out with her.
Okay, it's still hanging out.
Your foot fetish freak.
Don't kink shame, Pete.
Anyway, I'm thinking at least today. I would go 8.5. Right, I actually really enjoyed Clark and Mon-El rekindling, particularly Mon-El sort of saying how dark things have gotten and the decisions he's had to make. I mean, the Keenan and Cal story of the subplot. That's just, I'm slightly interested in that. It's definitely amusing, but it definitely feels like, this is a fun little subplot whilst the main thing's going on. But the backup I'm enjoying, and I'm really enjoying the main story thus far. I'm loving the just really fleshing out what the Phantom Zone is right now in current lore. I'm kind of digging that, actually.